And we are back. Want to first start off on a serious note and send all of our thoughts and our prayers out to the people in New Zealand.
Yeah.
We do have listeners in New Zealand, and you've always been really good to us for a long time. You guys are having a rough week. So we're all thinking of you here. The world is with you. So just know that got a lot of love going out. It's a tough time. Also, as far as showbiz news, how blindsided is this town by the college cheating scandal?
Oh my goodness! It's one of those moments where I'm like, oh, really? And then I'm like, oh, really? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, yeah, totally. But USC, UCLA, some of the names
Yale,
of these
Stanford.
Yale, Stanford, Wake Forest, these
Michigan.
really big schools.
Yeah,
it's a strange thing though. So my little niece, my brother Charles, my brother Charles, his daughter, she's going to Washington University in St. Louis. She's a sophomore right now.
Yeah.
This is a little girl who worked her butt off through high school, doing all of the things
you're supposed to do
to earn your way into an elite school. That's an elite school, Washington University in St. Louis, and my brother hustled scholarships and everything you could possibly think of to get this kid into this school. And I look at her working hard, and then I see this.
And there's that mom of that kid who had a 4.2 and applied to like all these same schools, and she just filed a $500 million class action suit.
And I hope she gets every freaking penny of it.
The thing that I think where the Hollywood aspect of this comes in is where people are saying, especially looking at Lori Loughlin's daughter, and I guess we're not gonna be reviewing much more of where comes the heart for Hallmark, those things that we talk about every so often. That's not going to continue anymore. But you're already a celebrity. You're a celebrity's kid. You're an influencer. You're making a gigantic pile of money because people follow you on Instagram or whatever it is. Sephora gave you a contract because you're Lori Loughlin's daughter, and and I'm thinking, so what does why risk your mom's career and her earnings and your career and your earnings? Why put all of that at risk for one particular college? Like, why not go? So what if you went to CSUN? What if you went to Cal State LA? Would that damage your brand?
What about hey, knock out a semester at Glendale Community College? How about that? It would be really interesting because what is it that you're actually purchasing here?
A brand.
You're purchasing a brand.
A brand.
And not for nothing, we can look. Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner never got into Harvard. Okay, he didn't get into Harvard. There's a building on that campus called the Kushner, whatever the hell. The legacy thing. Yeah, the legacy thing.
Almost everyone who is a child of someone, right? Whether you're a Bush or a Clinton or a Hollywood royalty or whatever the case is, you're gonna get in where you want. Yeah. You're going to get in where you want because the brand is the thing, and they see certain applicants as a brand, and the applicants see them as a brand. And this has gone on legally for centuries.
Oh, it's alumnus and all this kind of look. This is what it really comes back to, though, because we have people have issues with the notion of affirmative action. Yeah. At some of these same universities and in all sorts of things, affirmative action.
Harvard's being sued about it right now.
By the Asian students. And I have to point out that these schools always had affirmative action. Yeah. It just wasn't affirmative action for people of color and women and people of lesser means. They've always had affirmative action. So I think that we're going to have to reconstruct the way we talk about this from henceforth.
What concerns me, I mean, obviously the college end of it concerns me, and we've all seen that in action. The American college system has been screwed up for a long time.
Yeah, and for a lot of different ways.
But the fact that they're using the college system now to perpetuate celebrity brands. That is what really, really troubles me. And Hollywood is going to have to reconcile itself to this. Social media has a lot to blame. The institutions bear a lot of blame. But yeah, it's this is. I mean, everybody. There were 37 people total in this thing, of whom Lori Loughlin and
Huffman,
Felicity Huffman were the two that everybody focused on.
Yeah.
And Felicity Huffman, she was small fry in this. She wrote a check for $15,000.
Yeah.
Like, what a bargain you got!
Yeah.
There's some other people, some marketing guru lady who spent like $1.5 million or something. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. When celebrity is at a place where you have to reinforce the brand with colleges and bribes. Now we talk about how there are no more movie stars, but there are brands.
Yeah, yeah.
The Kardashians are a brand.
That's Chloe, and it's a funny thing. I used to make fun of those girls. I think the young one's name is Chloe, right? That's the youngest.
Did any of them even go to college?
No. Chloe is the youngest billionaire. She's the youngest.
Saw that.
And we can make as much fun of her as you want to, but that money didn't come from nowhere.
Yeah.
They sell crap. It's all about the brand.
Yeah.
And they figured it out. And I got to give a certain amount of credit to their mother. You and I, because we go, we knew Robert and all the way back, OJ trial and all that kind of stuff. And after he died, that mom, what's her name? Kris
Jenner.
She had to figure out a way to sustain that family. And it was a little pimpish what she did.
Oh,
a little pimpish.
Straight up.
A little pimpish.
Yeah.
But you know what? Mom? That's about $5 billion you pimped out over there.
Yeah.
And them kids are going to be okay for the rest of their lives. I don't know about their minds, but they'll be able to pay for whatever problems they have. That's for sure. So I don't know. Anyway, man, here's the thing. For years and years and years, I have been pimping out something too, right?
Yeah.
I went to Harvard. I went to Oxford.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I for years I used to walk around. I used to say that.
It got you traction.
It did. You're in a room, you say that, and suddenly people care about what you're.
Isn't that weird?
It was kind of messed up, though. It was kind of messed up, but I did it.
It's the same thing. Whenever I will drop UCLA in a conversation.
Yep.
UCLA Film School. Oh, really,
dude?
It's like, really?
Yeah.
Because then I start thinking, well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I was there with Alexander Payne, and I was there, with a few other people who've gone on to do things. I guess, Gina Prince was there, and but still, it's just school.
Yeah.
It was just school.
But it's a thing.
It's not like I was knighted. It's not like they put a machine on electrodes in my brain and gave me talent. You still got to deliver. But for some reason, the brand is the thing.
The brand is the thing. The brand is the thing. And I don't know. It seems to me that some of these places are going to be diminished now.
Yeah, they will.
USC, frankly, has been getting away with it for a while.
Well, USC is a private school. It's an alumni thing there. You saw that, right? That Lori Loughlin's oldest daughter, when the news broke, she was on Rick Caruso's yacht with his daughter, who's also a freshman there. Now, Rick Caruso, for those who don't know, is like one of the big billionaire developers in L.A. He developed The Grove and like 5 other shopping centers here. He's a big cheese.
Yeah.
And
not famous, but far and away richer than any of these people that we're talking about.
One of the USC trustees. And you're like, well, if you're that tight with Rick Caruso and his daughter, couldn't Rick have pulled some strings?
You'd think,
Did you have to pull that whole cruise scam? It boggles the mind, It really does.
The lack of character, just simple character. Through and through, really kind of blows me away. I mean, just none.
And at the same time, because I really like Felicity Huffman, I do, and I suspect that that at a certain point, because we know how easy it is to get insulated by celebrity. You don't leave your house. You have handlers, your business manager, publicist. They do all your stuff for you. Money comes in. You work. You don't really ever balance a checkbook. You don't ever worry about paying a bill. You can't really go out anywhere because people will recognize you. And if they do, it's all scheduled and cars pick you up. And you really become very pampered. I remember Jay Leno once talking about how when people would say they'd see him park on the NBC lot there, and they'd be like, "Wow, you drive to work?" And he says it's the weirdest thing. The higher you go in this business, the less people think you can do for yourself.
Yeah.
They just assume that you're pampered like British royalty or something.
And it is a generational thing too.
Yeah,
like,
I guess it is.
William H. Macy, for one thing. I run into William all the time.
Sure,
great guy.
He's all over town. He's all over town.
Great guy, ordinary guy. And the kind of guy where if you've met him or bumped into him, like I do at junkets and red carpets and all that kind of stuff, eventually he's going to remember your face and know your name. He knows my name.
Yeah.
So hey Tim, how you doing? And we have we have conversations. I can't even interview him anymore.
Yeah.
Because we just start talking and the interview goes away. Now he's a really cool guy. He's an everyday, ordinary guy,
and she is too.
And I'm like, so I'm like, where did that? You know what I'm saying? Because William H. Nobody paid for him to get into anything.
There was a great David Mamet wrote a really great piece because he loves them dearly. He's known them for decades, since before they were married. Both of them, right?
that theater back in Chicago.
He founded theater troupes with Macy. She acted in his plays. He went to town. He was without excusing what was done, but he called for the Texas verdict, which is not guilty, but don't do it again, right? Which he's sticking up for his friends. Yeah. But at the same time, what I liked about it was he called out the whole rotten system of legacy preferences and everything else that sort of prompts the problem of universities being valued for the brand as opposed to the education.
As opposed for the education, yeah.
And it should be about the education.
Because the fact of the matter is, all the educations across these state schools, private schools, why would there be any significant difference in the education at these schools?
Yeah.
The subjects are the same. If you're a history major, the history stays the same. The history doesn't change at UCLA from so it's just I teach at Mount St. Mary's University.
Where I've taught, yeah.
And I go up to the school and I think to myself, this is a lovely school. It's an all girls school. And I think to myself, I don't know why I would send my kid to any, I just send him here.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful school.
Yeah,
and I know, and I know what I'm teaching these kids. I know what I'm investing in them. I know what you invest in them. I teach the same thing there when I teach at Glendale Community College. I teach at Glendale Community College, not a fancy all private girls school. It's the same class.
Yeah.
They're not getting a better education at Mount St. Mary's than I'm giving them at Glendale Community College. It's a thing. We could go on forever on this. It is. But anyway, it's really rocked this town, and it's having reverberations through Lifetime and all over the place. What do you think should happen in terms of the actual kids who are in those universities right now wrongly? What should happen to the kids?
They should have. I don't think they should be immediately ejected, but I do think that there should be an investigation and a reevaluation. Because is it possible that some of them did they know? That's my first question. Did they know what their parents were doing? If not, then they're victims too. And then the second question I would have is, could they have legitimately gotten in on their own merits without the tinkering? And if so, then I think somebody needs, and that's a hard thing to reevaluate, to go back in time and do a hypothetical what if you had applied and this all hadn't happened. But I kind of want to see I want to see it done fairly and methodically and consistently.
It's a meaningful question because the fact of the matter is that's a slot. That is a slot. There are only so many of these slots.
And if you got that wrongly, somebody else belongs there.
Did not get a chance to go to that.
Somebody else belongs there. Yeah. No, it's true. Look, I was in graduate school for 3 days. I received a full assistantship to the graduate communications program at Pepperdine University. And all my friends were telling me at the time, like, dude, you just got a film degree from UCLA. Go out, hit the pavement, do what you got to do in the world. And I was like, no, guy, my mother's riding me, man. She wants me to get an advanced degree, so I've got teaching credentials and all this stuff, right? So I got a full assistantship, which meant be a TA, get your tuition fully paid for. It was fantastic. And 3 days in, I was like, I just spent the last 2 years of my life like making music videos and movies, and now I'm going to be doing library research, and I like got this pit in my stomach, and I was like, I can't do this. I consulted with my mother. I said, "Look, I seriously can't do this." And being the incredibly supportive woman she was, she said, "Then that's fine. Then you don't have to do it. Don't feel any pressure from me." And I was like, "Oh, thank goodness!" And man, at third, I went. I sold my books back, and I was free. And then our buddy Dave Weishart emails me, and he says, "You're never going to believe this. I know a woman who just got an email said, 'Hey, a slot opened up at Pepperdine for the assistantship,' and I was happy about that. Because I didn't want that position, and I left. And by weird chance." Boom. Two degrees of separation away, there was someone, a flesh and blood human being, a woman who now had a chance to take advantage of that position that wanted it. That wanted it, right? Yeah. And I've always remembered that where you are is where somebody else isn't. Yeah. Yeah, somebody else. It matters. When I saw it, I think it was Lori Loughlin's daughter, and she's doing that video, and she's talking about how she was there for the partying and the college experience, and she doesn't really care. It's just so upsetting, And I go to, like I said, I go up to that university, and I see these girls in my class, and these is my students. By the way, my students are badass. They listen to the show. Yeah. Hi, girls. And they're badass and working. And I see this kid, and she says that, and I'm like. Man, that's just that burned. That burned. It does. That really burned. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna jump into DVDs and Blu-rays. Got so much anime. There's just a ton of anime. So for anime fans, I'm gonna go through as much of this as I can in this short little time before we get into 4K and new movies, and some really interesting 4K. Got some TV. Got some Criterions. Got a lot of good stuff. And we have we have an interview, which is probably going to wind up next week. Okay. So I won't overly tease that, but that's probably on next week's show. Anyway, starting off, got some cool Funimation here. These are all February Funimation releases. Got some older ones that I'm going to try to get to too. But the February stuff is really, really great. ReZero has a new release out. ReZero, starting life in another world. This is pretty decent fantasy stuff. The character Natsuki Subaru, who is between worlds. Let's say this is kind of supernatural. You're dead. You're between worlds, and you can kind of sense the other world. Anyway. It's beyond being psychic. Anyway, ReZero, very, very interesting, fascinating anime world. Ace Attorney, not a huge fan of that. Ace Attorney Season 1 is on Blu-ray and DVD combo pack. All of these are DVD and Blu-ray combo packs. Ace Attorney is just a really odd anime courtroom attorney show, and I guess it's probably more meaningful in Japan. But anyway. Doesn't really work for me so well. Aria, the Scarlet Ammo AA, the complete series. Also didn't quite get this one. This is a little bit confusing. This is like a whole woman's spy thing, and it's girl power, but it's not like Captain Marvel girl power, which I'm all about. We love Captain Marvel, don't we? I love that movie. Everybody's overanalyzing that movie. It's great. It's just good, and that's all the hell there is to it. And she's good in it. Yeah, Miss Brie Larson. Oh, she's fantastic. Square-jawed badass she is. She's fantastic. And what's the name of the actress plays her best friend? I'll look it up real quick. She steals the movie. There's a sequence. I know we're DVDs, but there's a sequence in that movie, and I know that you know this sequence. But for the people who are watching, who will go and see this movie, that sequence in the movie when the little girl, she's a little girl. And she has all these accidents, right? Yeah. She crashes that go-kart. She falls down. She misses with the baseball bat. With everything. She gets hurt. She's bleeding. And then later in that movie, they repeat that sequence, and they show her getting up from every one of those things. I cried. Dude, I was just like, yeah, baby. She gets up. She turns that go-kart over. I'm the daddy of a daughter. That was the moment where the movie just reached into my chest and grabbed my heart, and I'm sorry. That's Anna, and that's Anna Bolden. It's Ryan Fleck and Anna Bolden, and that's Anna. Yeah, that's Anna. Yeah. She's like, no, we're gonna smack her down, but we're gonna make sure she gets up. Yeah, and I just love that movie so much. I do. Considering that Aquaman, good lord. Have you looked at the new Avengers trailer that just dropped? No. It's really good. You know what's the best thing of it? Well, there are two great things about it. Number one, it's just epic. It's this epic, heroic thing. It just makes you feel like it's like an old-fashioned Western crossed with a sword and sandal epic. It's Ben-Hur meets. It has this really epic quality to it, and it gives you no clue as to the plot. Thanos doesn't even show up in the entire trailer. It's just people saying, hope, power, life, friends. It's all this kind of stuff. Yeah. But it ends with this terrific little tag where Thor and Danvers, Captain Marvel, are standing there and they're just kind of staring at each other with the other Avengers all around, and it's a stare down, right? And he puts his hand out, and the new hammer, which is half hammer, half axe. Yeah. Because the last one got wrecked in the last Thor movie. It flies into his hand. And he's still staring her down. And then she gives him this wry little half smile.
I love that.
That little half smile. Yeah, all right. And then he looks at everybody else and he goes, I like this one. It's just great.
What I love...
I'm such a sucker for that stuff.
What I love is it's very clear in Captain Marvel, the movie, that she is unequivocally and absolutely the most powerful being
of all of them
in the universe.
Yeah,
it's just that's just a given.
Yeah,
which of course is true in the context of the stories too. But they make it real clear. Make no mistake. Yeah. She can kick everybody's ass. Yeah. So just let's see what's going to go down. Yep. Anyway, let's go back.
And quite possibly the little girl from Captain Marvel 2 who's going to be grown up.
Photon.
Everybody's figured out she's going to turn into Photon. Yeah. So anyway, then we've also got Grimgar Ashes and Illusions, which is really, really interesting. This is the complete series of Grimgar Ashes and Illusions. This is, I want to compare it a little bit to maybe Starship Troopers. Anyway, it's a really interesting premise. Where you have these characters who wake up in this completely strange environment. They have no idea who they are or where they came from. Total amnesia, and from there is this paramilitary fate where in this fantasy world, this kind of sci-fi fantasy world, this paramilitary destiny that will eventually answer all those questions. It's really interesting. Grimgar Ashes and Illusions, very, very good. Prince of Stride Alternative, the complete series. This is from the people that did Death Note, and it's basically a competitive sports anime, all centered around these races that they do. It's it's a little bit of school, it's a little bit of Speed Racer, I guess, in a way. It's okay, it's fine. Haruchika, Haruta, and Chika. I practiced that. Haruchika, Haruta, and Chika, the complete series. There are only subtitles on this. There is no English language track on this. And this is, school politics and friendship and all that kind of stuff. It's not really that interesting, to be honest. So that's why they probably didn't put subs on it, because it's very, very specific to the Japanese stuff. Then there's FLCL, which is it's supposed to be funny, I think. It's kind of a romantic comedy, but didn't really work for me too well. That skews a little bit younger than I would normally have been comfortable with. My favorite of all of these, I'm going to tell you right now, is Samurai 7, the complete series. This is the coolest thing in the world. They took Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai and expanded it into an epic anime saga. And it's great.
Fantastic.
It's really, really great. It's really, really cool. It's a lot of fun. It's accessible to everybody. You don't have to be an anime fan to enjoy it. You don't even have to be an Akira Kurosawa fan to enjoy it. It's really, really good. Samurai 7, the complete series. Really well animated, really well written, and it's just absolutely terrific. And it expands the story in a really interesting way. They invent all kinds of new tangents to it that aren't necessarily obvious, but are suggested in the movie. If you are a fan of Touken Ranbo Hanamaru, that is now out in season 2. That's really, as far as all these mythical journey things go, that is one of the better ones. It's actually very, very nicely drawn, beautifully animated, really very artful. Garo, which is a universe unto itself as well, has part 2 of Vanishing Line. On the long journey to El Dorado, that continues. Then we've also got, getting through some of this real quickly, a couple free. That's free exclamation point, the free stuff. with the Iwatobi Swim Club and all that swimming nonsense and these things, which a lot of people love. It's swimming competition in schools. It just, for some reason, it's a thing. So we've got free Eternal Summer season 2, and then free Iwatobi Swim Club season 1. So if anime swimming and school competitions and school politics is your thing, you're gonna love it. Season 1 of a thing called Dagashi Kashi. Yeah, I don't know about this. This is, I think you have to really be connected to some very strange aspect of Japanese culture to fully appreciate this. I would love it if somebody familiar with this would email us at gods@digigods.com or gods@cinegods.com and explain to me this food fixation here, because there's this all kind of centers around like food and snacks and these weird branded ramens, and it's a very, very peculiar storyline, and it's hard to really get into. Then 3 more here, and we'll move on to other things, and I'll see if I can cull out some of the other anime for later. Deadman Wonderland, the complete series. Really interesting artwork. It's pretty brutal though. This is not for kids. Most of this stuff is dated for 14. This is very adult, very violent, very gory. Do not want to be exposing this to kids. This is really, really adult stuff. But it's serial killer, shooter, mass murderer stuff. But it's good. It's really, really good. Deadman Wonderland, the complete series. And then 2 Luck and Logic titles. There is Luck and Logic, the complete series, and Hina Logic from Luck and Logic, the complete series. And this, again, it's school politics. It's a big deal in Japanese anime. I guess teenagers love to see their stuff, their sports competitions and their fantasies and everything else, all their relationship with their peers sort of depicted in these shows. And these are not terribly accessible, but they have a fantasy aspect to them. These kind of a men in black thing fighting these monsters, which is in the case of Hina Logic, I think it's maybe a little bit more accessible. But anyway, Luck and Logic, it's another one of those. And then let's talk about some 4K right now. Got a bunch of stuff on 4K. New stuff, old stuff. I'm going to talk about the old stuff first. This is a film that never got enough credit. Tim, I think you like this too. Lord of War.
Oh, yeah. That's that period. Nick had a period where he made a few good films, really, really good films in a row, and it started with that adaptation and a few others. But he had this run there.
Yeah, he did.
Where he made some really significant films, and that's one of them.
Ethan Hawke and Jared Leto are in this as well. This is an Andrew Niccol film. Andrew Niccol has not had the career that I always hoped he would have after Gattaca.
Yeah.
Perhaps because he's on some level a little too thoughtful.
Yeah.
But Andrew Niccol is a really, really, really sharp guy, and just rife with ideas. Andrew Niccol also wrote the Truman Show.
Yeah,
and just a really thoughtful science fiction mind, speculative fiction. I also am a huge fan of the Al Pacino film that he did about the AI celebrity.
Oh yeah,
Simone.
Simone, yeah,
with Simone. He just goes into some really interesting, and sometimes it's a little bit too high-minded, too heavy. Too big-headed for people, and I think Lord of War was a little bit of that. Nick Cage is really phenomenal in this as an arms dealer, an illegal arms dealer. And what this is, it's not just a regular thriller about an illegal arms dealer. It's very much about who he is, what's in his head, and what drives him. It's an incredibly elaborate character study, all wrapped into a very, very meticulous, large-scale movie, and it goes into all kinds of interesting tangential areas that are political and social and everything else. And it doesn't lecture you; it just forces you to really kind of come to grips with a world that we always read about, but we don't really understand.
Andrew Niccol was Adam McKay before Adam McKay.
Yeah,
the Big Short and
exactly.
Vice. That's what's going on. Only he doesn't try to be as cute about it like Adam. Adam is lecturing a little bit and he wants to be funny. Andrew isn't trying to be cutesy about it, but he is trying to explain.
Yep.
Yeah, so very interesting.
And I tip my hat to Lionsgate for putting this out on 4K. Nobody out there is really aggressively mining their catalog, their library for 4K titles. They're putting out new stuff, the stuff that's getting all the heavy attention. And somebody over at Lionsgate said, you know what? This is an underrated movie. Let's put it out on 4K. We know it has a following. That small following will probably buy it on 4K, and it will justify the cost of doing it. And I really hope that pans out, because it was a good decision. It's a good film. It's a good-looking 4K. Really, really benefits from it. Niccol is a great visual stylist, and it has some good extras on it, stuff that's been out before. Audio commentary with Andrew Niccol and some featurettes. But boy, they did a really, really good job with the 4K.
Yeah.
The other 3 4Ks of the week. Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, the second Fantastic Beasts movie in the prequel series for Harry Potter. This includes an extended cut with deleted scenes not seen in theaters, as though that was needed. I don't know why. Here's a thing that's a little bit weird to me on this. This says, redeem code by 3/31 of 2021. Now, keeping in mind that this is Warner Brothers and Movies Anywhere, I just want to let everybody know, Movies Anywhere codes do not expire like the old Ultraviolet codes. So I am a little bit perplexed, because that isn't
that's very specific.
Why they would do that. It's not going to expire, and Warner Brothers can't control that. Disney controls Movies Anywhere. This code will not expire. Now, they may just be trying to prompt you to do that. Maybe that's a sales tool for, redeem code buy. It doesn't say it'll expire after that, but it's not going to. So I want to let everybody know, ignore that. If you have an old Ultraviolet code, in theory, unless it's Universal. Universal has issues, and I'm fighting with them over this, and they won't give me a straight answer. But in general, the idea is that all Ultraviolet codes that once expired with Ultraviolet are good again with Movies Anywhere. As long as they are with Warner Brothers or Fox or the companies that came over to Movies Anywhere. So
it moved with the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, did you see this?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's on 4K. It looks good on 4K, but it's meh. Mortal Engines, biggest bomb of last year.
Oh, man. What a mess.
Right? Peter Jackson threw his name on a thing that's like a cyberpunky anime thing with giant cities that move around in a post-apocalyptic future, and I don't really get what this was doing. It's based on a book, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the deal? Who says let's spend $150 million on a big adaptation of a book about like battle cities? The whole city is a giant tank. I don't understand.
Well, it's probably because his name was on it.
Yes.
You put his name on it.
Well, that ain't gonna work a second time.
No.
Looks great though. Tons of extras on here, but man, this is just it's boring is the worst thing. It's just so much CGI. It's boring. Let's talk a minute about Mary Poppins Returns. On 4K, 4 Academy Award nominations, didn't win any of them, didn't deserve to. I would refer everybody to cinegods.com, where I reviewed this rather angrily. A lot of people love this. I don't begrudge people their love of it.
It's not a remake of Mary Poppins, though. A lot of people think that's not really, Yeah.
So I took a children's literature course at UCLA, not because I thought it was easy, which a lot of people did. I still remember by about the end of that first week, there were people in class saying, "There's too much reading, man. This is a children's literature course." I thought there'd be, the boneheads are always looking for the easy electives, right? They're like, why are we reading so much? They thought it was going to be, green eggs and ham or something. I don't know what it was. But it takes a very serious approach to children's literature, Bridge to Terabithia and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we read all the Mary Poppins books in that class, and they're really good. But what they did was they took some of the other Mary Poppins books, the sequel books, which the next one takes place 6 months later, not 20 years later. And Mary comes back, and there's a whole thing, and they're all delightful and sweet. The problem with this one is that they ignore those books, basically. They have her come back in some drab pre-World War II Depression era thing and basically go through all the beats of the original movie all over again. Except they retcon the original movie. That coin that the little boy was going to give away, it turns out that it was invested and now they've invented this whole elaborate thing as to they're going to lose their house and the money was invested and how do we get the money and we got and now it becomes a caper film.
Yeah.
And there's a heist film. And there's a villain and all these things that the original didn't have and didn't need. And
it fails in the same way that I guess it was called Christopher Robin, Winnie the Pooh, in the same way. And you're watching this movie. It's the Winnie the Pooh movie, whatever. But what we're watching is this miserable adult who hates his job. With his, I'm like, why in the world would they make a movie?
It's the antithesis of everything that people want. It's very upsetting to me. But a lot of people did like it. I don't begrudge them that. But thematically, I feel like this is a betrayal. And an English friend of ours, an English publicist, was completely dumbfounded as to what Emily Blunt was doing with her accent. It was very funny. She did a Facebook post where she said she's combining this like East London diphthong with a Yorkshire. It was very Henry Higgins analysis of her accent, and it was kind of a weird thing that she was doing. I don't get it. So anyway, that's on 4K. Does it look good? Fantastic. Extras, lovely. Sing-alongs and an hour of bonuses and going back to Cherry Tree Lane, which looks all drab and everything, but I am not a fan. All right, Tim, what do we got?
I'm going to knock off some LGBT stuff, mostly from TLA releasing a little bit from Deku as well. So we have 5 short films from the noted photographer Ohm, who is a noted photographer, also noted for making some extremely explicit and intriguing gay short films. This includes 5 of them, all collectively still only 74 minutes worth of viewing. Anyway, it's really lovely shot stuff. Most of the stories are fairly familiar sort of stories between young men who meet here and there and are trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives. But it's really beautifully shot stuff from Ohm short film collection. Another collection of 6 shorts called Testosterone from Deku. Again, featuring this one from a number of different directors, but some of these films are really, really, really good. Altogether, about 82 minutes worth of viewing from this short film collection called Testosterone. This is volume 2 from that collection. We have a film called, this is a wonderful, little lesbian film called Nude Aria. It's just a really lovely film, a series of about 15 vignettes. They're all strung together, and they have a through line, so they're not like individual short films. There is a through line, and they're just really beautiful films, mostly about this Dutch teenager named Naomi, who's wandering around Amsterdam, and she runs into this lovely Middle Eastern girl, and it's about what that means to their lives if people find out who they are and how they love. Very, very powerful little series of vignettes there. We have a film called Seeds, which is also from TLA releasing. A neat little movie, notable because Carmen Mora is in it. You've seen Carmen Mora in a whole bunch of Pedro Almodovar films. So she plays the mother of this little boy. He's just beginning to figure out that he's gay. He meets this gardener, and some sort of illicit things sort of happen. But it's a powerful and lovely little film that I enjoyed quite a bit. And then we have a few, including Postcards from London, which is as much of a sort of an art film as it is anything else. It's sort of like a a gay film, but it's really about art and the art world, and we're sort of roaming around Soho. A young man falls in with this group of sort of raconteurs, and they pick up these people, but mostly we're just sort of roaming around the sort of Soho art world and getting into all that stuff there. It's sort of neat. The uncut director's cut of He Loves Me, which is actually a lovely film. It's about this gay couple. Their relationship is sort of falling apart. They decide to go out to a sort of deserted beach and hang out and see if they can repair what's going wrong in their relationship. It's really, as much as anything else, just a sort of meditation. We wander around these beautiful locations and they talk, and which is kind of neat. There. And then there is a series, season 1 of Woke, which is also kind of a cool series there. This one is about a young man who goes back to his hometown in search of this fella that he had met many, many years ago who tried to kiss him. And he goes back to his hometown looking for this guy and finds a whole bunch of interesting stuff, but mostly finds out a lot of stuff about himself. So this is season 1 of Woke from Deku as well. There we go. With all that business.
And I'll blow through a couple more animes real quick here. These are things that I think are worth mentioning. We got some franchised stuff here. Another entry in the Gundam universe. This is Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt Bandit Flower, which is one of the best standalone Gundams that I have yet seen. Most of this stuff gets. It requires you to have a pretty deep Gundam IQ. This is the Gundam universe is enormous, and it's like Marvel. It's even bigger than Marvel. It's just vast, and it's hard to sometimes get up to speed if you they all kind of dovetail off of something else, and this one does too a little bit. This takes place after the 1 year war, but. It's very self-contained in this secret operation, this Operation Thunderbolt, which is very much kind of a Dirty Dozen type thing type of thing. And Io, this character Io, is piloting the Atlas Gundam to this to get inside the area controlled by the South Sea Alliance, and it's like a sabotage mission, but of course it all leads to a big battle in the end, which is a lot of fun. And you're watching it for the whole Gundam tech thing. That's what it is. It's all about that. But it's really nice. It's self-contained. It doesn't require a whole long historical lead of the ancient battles, and it doesn't sort of take you into another place. It's going to require a lot of time. It's self-contained and does a really nice job. We also have another One Piece. One Piece continues to be really super popular, and this one is too.
Yep.
This is a 3D2Y TV special. The 3D is crossed out. Make of that what you will. But anyway, it's more the same. There's also Dragon Ball Super, which I still don't get. This is part 6, episodes 66 to 78. I'm pretty sure I watched the one that came before this and that I should have some idea vaguely of what's going on, but I don't. I really have no idea. It's just all that same Dragon Ball stuff. Death Note also continues to be a big thing. We've got live-action Death Note, which creeps the hell out of me. That makeup belongs in anime. It should not be in this world. The live-action Death Note is Light Up the New World. That's a Blu-ray DVD combo, and it's just creepy. It's just really, really creepy. The God of Death and his reapers and that makeup, it's like somebody gave the Joker some really bad plastic surgery and he didn't recover. But then there's also the live action double feature, Death Note and Death Note: The Last Name, which is maybe a little bit less creepy, but it's still creepy. So Death Note has a following. It is what it is. Citrus, the complete series. I guess it's cute. It's an all-girl school, girl politics. That's also from Funimation, Blu-ray DVD combo set. It's basically a gay romance, but anime style. It's all right. Overlord is fantastic. Overlord is absolutely great. And if you're unfamiliar with Overlord, you should definitely discover it. This is again a fantasy world, demons and mythical quests, and all very very Tolkien-y and Lord of the Ringsy. But it's really 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 cool. It's different from all the others, and it has its own really cool vibe, and it's dark, and it's gothic, and the animators really really went to town on it. And let's see, the last two I'm going to pull out here, and we're going to leave the rest for another time. Satoshi Kon is one of the all-time great anime legends, and this is from Shout, and it is Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue. It's a 20th anniversary edition, fully remastered, first time ever on Blu-ray. If you are not familiar with Satoshi Kon, you need to discover him, and Perfect Blue is really a great one to do that with. It is essentially it's a kind of a coming of age story about a particular woman who is looking to find her place in the world. She was going to try to become a celebrity, and she winds up kind of experiencing this really really interesting life crisis, this midlife crisis that is expressed in animation in the most wonderful and beautiful and poetic way, and it's really, really, it is very pertinent today. I won't go into any of the other details, but some of the stuff we talked about at the top of the show with the college cheating scandal and all that, factors right into this, and it's really, really, really worth seeing. And then the last one I want to mention here is absolutely gorgeous. This is from Sente Filmworks. It's a beautiful special edition, the complete collection of Land of the Lustrous, which is dazzlingly beautiful, and they did a really, really good job with this. The again, it's a fantasy world, as these things many are, but these are about gems that become human. They're living crystals, and what that entails in their lives and their experiences with each other and with humans is really there's a whole metaphorical subtext to this that is really, really fascinating, and it's really, really interesting what they've done with this. It's incredibly well thought out, and it has some interesting animations as special features and trailers from Sentai, but it's really, really interesting. What do humans and gems have in common? What we can say to a person, "You're the diamond of my life," or whatever. But there's an analogy there that's really interesting. So, and a great tagline here: even diamonds can shatter.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So there we go. New movies.
Yeah,
other new movies.
Particularly this one here, The Miseducation of Cameron Post, which was a film that won a grand jury prize at Sundance and still didn't get picked up.
I know.
It says something about that Sundance Film Festival, or film festivals in general. I don't want to speed up Sundance, but it says something about the fact that there are, over the last several years, I'll say at least 5 or 6 years, the top prize winners at Sundance have not performed very well in the world.
How about 20 years?
Yeah,
20 years.
You go back, Little Miss Sunshine's the last time I remember a Sundance winner being, a thing that actually happened in the world. So I don't know what that's about. Anyway, Chloe Grace Moretz in this film set in 1993 about a young woman who was sent to a gay conversion camp. A theme that was in a few movies last year in one way or another, kind of. But again, did not get picked up for quite a while. When it did get picked up, it was reviewed well, but they only released it in about 85 theaters. So I don't know about that. Chloe Grace Moretz just goes to show you cannot buy an opening with a movie star.
No,
you can't do it. Doesn't work that way anymore.
Nope, not anymore.
Nevertheless, this was a pretty decent film. Not much on that Blu-ray either. Then Came You, which starred Maisie Williams and Asa Butterfield. I remember reviewing this movie on the radio show, and I don't know, Nina Dobrev. It was an odd movie about a young woman who has a terminal illness, played by Maisie, a young man who is a hypochondriac, nothing wrong with him, but he's a hypochondriac, and this flight attendant that he falls in love with. She latches herself onto him and starts dragging him around the city to help her take care of her bucket list, Maisie, before she dies, and she is teaching him how to, not be a hypochondriac and go after the girl that he's in love with, and a weird little love triangle sort of develops out of that. Ken Jeong in the movie. This is just a strange little movie. Not good, not bad, but just odd. Bonus features include a featurette in the original theatrical trailer. Ruth Wilson and Sean Bean in this movie called Dark River. Again, this was a good movie about a young woman who returns to the family farm after 15 years of absence after the parents die, the father anyway, and she wants to claim that farm that she believes is rightfully hers from her brother. And it's a really, really interesting film, very atmospheric, great acting, interesting story, but again, just did not seem to be able to find a place in the actual world.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, did real well at Toronto too, that movie.
Festivals are losing a little bit of their punch.
Yeah.
In the same way that awards shows are losing a little bit of their punch. There are too many of them, and they're packed too closely together, and they're trying to do too much. They're all competing for too much attention in the marketplace.
And at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is the streaming universe, Netflix, and all of it, has simply changed the way that the world, that audiences engage what we call movies. And I don't know, man. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how this is all going to work out. I absolutely loved Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
And they're going to send us a 4K of this as well. This won a very deserved Oscar.
Yeah.
And I want to see what it looks like in 4K because there's so much color and action in this thing. It moves a mile a minute. It's just such aggressive animation. Charles, you know what Charles said about this, and it's a perfect way of summing it up. And, Charles Solomon, our good friend, who's the animation guru in the world, he said it revels in the joy of being drawn.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And so this has all kinds of neat stuff on it in terms of special features and that kind of stuff. Look, the reason why you want to see this movie, because oddly, this is the best animation of last year, despite the fact that an Incredibles movie came out.
I know, isn't that amazing?
But this is the best.
I know.
This is better. The whole year, we're like, well, then you might as well just give that Oscar to the Incredibles too.
Yeah.
No, this came along and it was actually better.
Look, Black Panther and a Spider-Man movie won Oscars.
Yeah.
Marvel won 3 Oscars?
Yeah.
At the last Oscars? That's a milestone.
Yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
So got some Well-Go titles here that I want to go through because we got giveaways on 3 of them. And Well-Go has been doing a lot of stuff lately. They're aggressively acquiring and releasing, and it's mostly Asian fantasy and martial arts stuff, but not exclusively. They do a lot of genre stuff too. That's really, really fun. They're also releasing the new Zhang Yimou film Shadow, which I saw the other day.
You sent me the link. I watched it last night.
It's terrific.
Good stuff.
It's really good. It's Shakespearean, and it's a lot of fun. Shadow. Look for that in theaters. Meanwhile, they got a film Along with the Gods, The Last 49 Days, which is a Korean film. It's a Korean fantasy film that's a little bit like, I want to say it's somewhere between the last Mad Max and Highlander, and maybe with a dash of Constantine. And I was trying to think of how to sum up the plot, and then I thought, you know what? It's an impossible plot to summarize. They already did it for me. This is literally their summation of it. As the deceased soul Su Hong and his 3 afterlife guardians face the remaining trials to obtain their reincarnation, the guardians come face to face with the buried truth of their tragic time on Earth 1,000 years ago, culminating in a final battle with a rogue god. There is no other way that you can explain that plot. It was a big hit in Korea. Honestly, that's it. It's like you watch this movie and you just go, how do I even summarize and then you realize they already worked it out. That's the only way to summarize it. This was a big hit in Korea, Along with the Gods, The Last 49 Days, big fantasy epic, and it's really, really well done. It's a lot of fun. I'm a little surprised it didn't get a significant theatrical release here. It's Well-Go's call because they had it. They probably just didn't think that the audience was here for that. But I'm going to leave it to them because they're doing a good job. Then we also have The Great Battle. Great Battle is a whole lot of fun. The Great Battle is also a Korean film, which is all about basically an Alamo type battle, and everybody has one of these. Braveheart is one of them. The Alamo is one of them. If you ever saw the Thai film Bang Rajan, that's one of them. They're all of these. What's the old oh gosh. How have I forgotten now? It's the one that started all of this stuff. With 13 was it?
The 13th Warrior?
No, not 13th Warrior. The Greek thing with the Spartans
and
all that
the
stuff. Persians are coming in. That was such a big deal at the time. Why can I not remember the name of it?
It's out of my head too. But Gerard Butler and all of those guys.
That damn thing. All right. Gosh, brain is completely fried. Anyway, that's one of them too. Small forces going up against a big force. That's exactly what the Great Battle is. One fortress versus 200,000 soldiers. And it's really, really well done. And it's great action, and it's great staging, and incredible costumes and art direction. And it's epic in a way that American films aren't anymore. And
the 300.
300, thank you.
That's what it was,
Bloody
right?
Hell.
Yeah.
Gosh, my brain. Anyway, terrific Korean film. They make really, really great big epic movies in Korea these days, and this is one of them. So there it is, The Great Battle. And then we also have the last one. There's Donnie Yen, still in his career resurrection in Iceman, the time traveler. Donnie Yen, it's unbelievable.
He doesn't age.
He was a second fiddle to Jet Li and Jackie Chan forever.
Yeah.
He's basically the same age.
Yeah.
Now they are old.
They look
at the end of their career, and Donnie is just going at it hard.
Yeah.
One film after another. He's never been hotter. He's terrific in this. This is also a little bit of Highlander. He's a guard from the Ming Dynasty who winds up being buried and frozen, and then he wakes up in the present day and has to kind of do what he's got to do and set history right by finding the golden wheel of time, which I don't really understand even after having seen the film, but I don't care because Donnie rocks, and it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. Iceman, the time traveler. And then the last two Well-Go titles here that are really, really these are horror suspense titles. They're kind of a riot. I really kind of enjoy them. The first one is Accident, which is like a kind of a cheesier version of David Cronenberg's Crash in a way. A bunch of kids they steal a car for joyriding, and they crash the car, and suddenly discover that they stole the wrong car from the wrong person, and next thing you know, the joyriders become the hunted, and it's a lot of fun actually. It's very exploitation, but it's really, really well done. And that's on Blu-ray. And this one's even my favorite. I like this one even more. Haunted Hospital. This is a German film originally, but there's an English language track on it that you can listen to. I don't recommend that. I suggest watching it in German. It makes it creepier. But it does. It's like, oh, wow, that's like very creepy. To begin with, I'm half German. I grew up hearing German all the time. It always still creeps me out as a language. So this is the idea, and it'll get remade. A bunch of vloggers decide, hey man, we're gonna or hey man, we're gonna accept the challenge on social media. We're gonna go into this old abandoned condemned asylum, and we're just gonna will you survive the night? We're gonna go and we're gonna vlog. We're gonna vlog our experience in the abandoned asylum, and because we're cool. And of course, anybody who's stupid enough to go into an abandoned asylum has to know it's possessed. What's wrong with you? So, enter ghosts and paranormal insanity, and there it is. Haunted Hospital, which has a much better title in German. Because Haunted Hospital doesn't really... Oh, Haunted Hospital, big deal. The German title? Heilstatten. Heilstatten.
I love it.
It's great, right? Heilstatten. One word. It just sounds horrific. People don't even know what that means. Heilstatten. Go out and ask your friends. Go, have you seen Heilstatten? And say it exactly that way. All right, what else we got?
Tyrell. This is an interesting film made by Sebastian Silva, who made a really neat little movie called The Maid a few years ago about this sort of sadistic maid to this rich family. This is called Tyrell, and it stars Jason Mitchell, who you'll know from Mudbound and from Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. This was meant to, and it even says it here, sort of an answer to Get Out. In a certain way, or sort of actually reflect in the same way the concerns of a film like Get Out. It's about this young brother who gets invited to a weekend out in the middle of the Catskills, and he's like the only brother who's at this weekend at the Catskills with all these, with his friend and his friend's friends who all happen to be white, and they get to drinking and stuff goes a little bit sideways, and there you get it. It's a satire. And a bit of a horror movie, sort of all rolled up into one. It's not Get Out, and certainly not that effective. Sebastian is a good filmmaker, though, and I'm a big fan of Jason Mitchell.
You know what? Get Out was so original. I am totally okay with people doing a few knockoffs.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it.
Sebastian's an interesting
Half the stuff we talk about every week are knockoffs.
Almost always, dude.
Yeah.
Quake. This is interesting. 1904 in Oslo, there was this gigantic earthquake.
Yeah.
This movie is about these
which created a tidal waves.
Oh
by
yeah,
the way. There've been a few movies about this.
That whole thing. This movie is about these. I love that they have what do they call it when you
lenticular.
The lenticular.
I used to call them testicular holograms when I do the show with Mark.
And this is about some seismologists who were measuring things and looking at things, and they figured out that another quake about the size of that 5.4 from 1904 is very likely to happen right smack dab under the capital, Oslo, which is actually true, by the way. It is.
I think the last one was called The Wave.
The Wave,
which was also like a Hollywood resume piece. That's all these are. They're Hollywood resume pieces.
Yeah, so you can come over here and make the exact same movie for way more money.
Exactly.
AI Rising is kind of a neat movie from Serbia, although it is in English. It's about a trip to Alpha Centauri, on which there is a human and this extremely lovely artificial intelligence.
It's a little bit like Ex Machina or Ex Machina, right? It's a little bit like the Alex Garland film. It's got shades of that. I saw this. I thought it was okay.
It was okay, and the neat special features on there too. Gerard Butler and Peter Mullen in The Vanishing. This is an interesting, loosely based on a true story about these lighthouse keepers who just flat out went missing.
Yeah.
It involves some gold and a boat in this little patch of land where this lighthouse is, and it's a mystery that goes on to this day about these guys who went out to the lighthouse, and they when they came out there to replace them 6 weeks later, they were just flat out gone. Food still on the table, the fire still lit, one chair upturned.
Honest question. What does it take to make Gerard Butler turn a script down?
Yeah. Apparently nothing.
Apparently nothing.
Apparently nothing. Once he started working, he figured he was not going to stop. Not going to stop. Paparazzi.
Gerard, let me pitch this idea to you. No, it's all right. I'm sold. All right. Okay. I'm sold. That's Scottish accent.
We should actually. I can think of a couple of things we do need to pitch him. Paparazzi. This is just some silly little Hollywood movie.
It's a grindstone film. Remember, look, I've said this before. Grindstone and their deal with Lionsgate. They make two kinds of movies. Big macho gun movies that usually have Bruce Willis in them somewhere, or movies about talking animals.
Yeah, and this one, and the talking animal is voiced by Christy Swanson. Jay Moore in the film. For a while there, I thought Jay Moore was going to have a career.
You know, honestly, he was that. What was the show? It was before Entourage, the agent show.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah, he was walking. I forget the name of the show, but yeah.
That show should have taken off.
Yeah.
That was just such a bitter show, and nobody except Hollywood insiders really
didn't really get it.
They didn't get it. Anyway,
interesting stuff.
All right, we got a few things here just to wrap out with some Criterion and some Arrow titles. I'm going to hit the Criterions really fast. The Magic Flute. Still going to do our big box set on the Bergman coverage. That thing is just huge. Got to set a good week aside. But independently, you can still see Ingmar Bergman's Magic Flute on Blu-ray. It has now been released, the 1975 staging of Amadeus's opera, which is an unusual Bergman film, but it's a really, really beautiful staging of it. There was also a version of this recently, a few years ago, that Kenneth Branagh did, which is also very, very good. But this is lovely. And this was specifically done for Swedish television, and it has a Peter Cowie interview on it, and a feature-length documentary that was made for Swedish television as well about the making of it. So you get a lot of juice on this. But look, if you don't like the opera, you're not necessarily going to like the film. But as a screen version of an opera, it is certainly one of the more interesting ones, and it does have Bergman's unique qualities in terms of the filmmaking. What an amazing Criterion release this is. I did not expect this. From 1927, The Kid Brother. Harold Lloyd Western that is such a joy to watch. This is one of the lesser-known Harold Lloyd movies, Safety Last, and there are a few others that everybody always focuses on. This is a delight. It really is. If you've never seen a Harold Lloyd movie, or even if you have, this is the one to rediscover. It is so beautiful. It's slapsticky. It's heartfelt. It's almost his Buster Keaton film in a way. He takes his persona to a place that he doesn't necessarily in some of the other ones. And there are loads of extras on here. Stills gallery that was specially curated by Harold Lloyd archivist Richard Simonton Jr. is absolutely beautiful. There's a video essay on the shooting locations. An audio commentary from 2005 that was done by Criterion at the time with Richard Carell and historian Annette D'Agostino Lloyd and Harold Lloyd's granddaughter Suzanne Lloyd. Wonderful audio commentary with all three of them. All kinds of discussions about who he was and what his filmmaking philosophy was. It's absolutely beautiful. And there are even a couple of restored early Harold Lloyd shorts, Over the Fence from 1917, and That's Him from 1918. It's just all great. There's nothing bad about this. Harold Lloyd's such a gem, unfairly overshadowed by Keaton and Chaplin at the time, but really every bit they're equal. Edgar G. Ulmer made a great noir called Detour in 1945. Ulmer is such a fascinating guy. Worked primarily on Poverty Row.
Yeah.
Made super low budget films on Poverty Row for much of his early career, and was not really given his due as a filmmaker until he kind of popped up and made a few memorable noirs. And this is one of them, Detour, which is still a Poverty Row film, but it's one of the better ones. It really it's a it gives you a real sense of the country, because it's about a guy who hitchhikes from one coast to the other. So it's not a noir that just zeroes in on L.A. It really kind of noirs up the whole country in a way, and it's really wickedly well written.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. It's super well written. So Detour also comes with a few extras, including a documentary from 2004 where they interview all kinds of people, Roger Corman and Joe Dante and even Wim Wenders, and an interview with an Ulmer scholar and biographer named Noah Eisenberg. It's really good. And then the last couple Criterion. Well, let's see here. We got 3 Criterions left. Wanda, written and directed by Barbara Loden, is a film that you've probably never heard of, because I never heard of it. It's from 1970. It is the only film that Barbara Loden ever made.
Interesting.
First and only film, an independent American film by a woman director in 1970, and then her career ended. And it's a fascinating movie. It's a sad story. There's an hour-long documentary.
Stars her too.
Yes, it is. It's all her. It's an entirely her film, and there's an hour-long documentary on here that features an interview with Barbara Loden from 1980 that gives you a lot of insight into why this was the case. And then there's also an AFI interview with her from 1971, and an episode of the Dick Cavett Show from 1971. But as to what this is, when you think about where women were in 1970, kind of in, there was obviously feminism, there was the Vietnam War and all that stuff. You're moving from one decade into the other. We've had the moon landing, but you've got Charles Manson in the offing. I mean, this is a crazy time in America, and it's right in the middle of the first Nixon administration, and all of that comes into play in this grungy Pennsylvania story that is kind of a proto-feminist story about an oppressed woman looking to find her place in the world, and it all comes into play. It's a really interesting movie. It's a great discovery, and Criterion deserves all kinds of credit for discovering that.
Yeah.
I Want to Hold Your Hand, which a lot of people don't realize, which is all about, the Beatles and these teenagers who are desperate to go and see the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, and it's their crazy road trip to go and do it. A lot of people don't realize this movie from 1978 was produced by Steven Spielberg and directed by Robert Zemeckis, and co-written with his partner Bob Gale, who also co-wrote Back to the Future and Romancing the Stone and all that stuff. These are golden era people here, Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, and Spielberg, obviously. There's a conversation with all 3 of them on here, which is great, and an audio commentary from 2004 with Zemeckis and Gale, who are always great to talk, and it's terrific. It's really terrific. I'd forgotten how much fun this movie was. I used to make fun of it, and it's actually great. And then the last Criterion I'm going to make mention of is Hapon. I don't like this film at all, but a lot of people do. 2002, Carlos Regadas. This was kind of his breakthrough feature film. It was his first film after making some other stuff, but his first feature. And I don't like Carlos Regadas at all. I think he's just unbelievably pretentious and self-absorbed, and I don't like his movies. But Criterion sees value in it. A lot of other people did as well, and it is now out in a director-approved edition, all 134 tortuous minutes of it, about a guy who goes on a pilgrimage to kill himself and meets an old woman and winds up rediscovering things that he shouldn't rediscover. I really dislike that movie, but look, go for it. What else we got?
Der Hound von Baskerville. So this is the 1929 the last silent version of The Hound of the Baskervilles.
Love it.
From Richard Oswald, who had actually worked on the 1914 silent The Hound of the Baskervilles. But this is the last one. It's a really, really lovely movie, completely restored, again from 1929, black and white, German film. Really, really neat. This is from is this Flicker Alley?
Flicker Alley, yeah,
good stuff.
Flicker Alley, no, that's great. They continue to do really, really great Blu-rays, and there are some others that just arrived the other day that we got to go through. But yeah, wow, fantastic.
And it's funny. This is Poetic Justice, John Singleton's film Poetic Justice. I think the 25th year anniversary of this is coming up. Janet Jackson, Tupac Shakur, dude. First of all, I did a set visit to this film when they were making it. That's how long ago. And plus, I did the junket 25 years ago. Tupac, what a shame.
You know,
what a mess. He was a wonderful actor.
If you want to see what a great actor he is, the end of this movie where they crash that family reunion, is hilarious.
Oh, it's just
And you think Tupac's a gangster who played gangsters? No. There's a family reunion in a park, and here you have them on this road trip.
Maya Angelou.
Yeah, right. And they see, and they're like, black family have a family reunion. We're related.
Yeah, we are now.
We are now.
And they wander over there.
And when he goes up, and some old guy comes up to him, and he goes, it's me, it's Lucky, little Lucky. And the guy's like, little Lucky. It's a priceless moment. It's one of the best moments in any John Singleton film.
I got to tell you,
and it's all because Tupac owns the comedy of it.
Yeah. He wasn't playing gangster.
No.
Yeah. Also in this movie, recent winner of an Academy Award, Regina King, playing Janet Jackson's best friend in this movie. She is so good in this movie. Had been playing that little girl on that sitcom for years.
Yeah, Perfect World.
And she plays this hard girl. It's just really, really, really neat movie. Anyway, some neat stuff on this never before seen deleted scenes, including the very rare, and I have actually seen this before, original screen test between Tupac and Janet Jackson. John Singleton, who, by the way, went to USC, which is, one of the schools that we were talking about. Now, John Singleton went to USC, that writing program, and he didn't get in because his parents could pay for anything. He got in because he wrote his ass off and got into USC, and his parents paid the bills. That's how he got to school. Anyway, neat stuff. Poetic Justice, 1993.
And we're going to wrap out with some exploitation titles from Arrow Video, who keeps coming up with, they're like becoming the Criterion of all this kind of exploitation stuff, especially foreign. And then, of course, Arrow Academy is just legit Criterion level stuff. It's really, really good. Colobos. This is really unbelievably gory, and it's not your. If you like gore, man, you're gonna get plenty of it in this. This is really nasty stuff. So this is it's a slash and gore movie, man. That's all it is. And but it apparently has some kind of legacy. It was made by Daniel Lajatovich and David Todd Ockvirk, and this is from the late 90s when a lot of slasher movies were kind of in a revival period. We were getting sort of renewed interest in all kinds of, especially Wes Craven. A lot of new stuff, and this is it's a bunch of kids think they're going to be participating in an experimental film, and then it turns out that it's really just a trap. It's like a reality show trap for all kinds of torture and snuff stuff, and it's a little bit of Saw in this as well. It's all that kind of stuff. So anyway, but it's over the top enough to be, I guess, noteworthy. And then from the 1970s is Strip Nude for Your Killer, which is in principle, it's a giallo film by Andrea Bianchi, but it kind of has its own sensibilities as well. It's trying to be something other than just another Italian giallo film, and there are a lot of extras on here that sort of try to give it that sense. I don't know if it really, really succeeds, but it's trying, and you got to give it the benefit of the doubt just for trying. The really interesting Arrow release this week is a box set called Blood Hunger: The Films of Jose Larraz. Jose Larraz is a Spanish filmmaker who worked in the same vein as all of those other genre filmmakers in both France and in Italy. They're all doing a little bit of 60s 70s era, doing a little bit of giallo, but a little bit of exploitation, kind of the same stuff that's going on in the U.S., but with an arty hue to it. And he really is an interesting filmmaker, and this is a worthwhile box set for anybody who really likes that stuff, who lives in that realm. It includes 3 films from the 1970s: Whirlpool from 1970, Vampires with the Y, the old classic way of spelling it, from 1974, and in 1978, The Coming of Sin. And all of these have really, really interesting social observations going on in them. Vampires is the one that most people have probably heard of. I think it did get a theatrical release here. It's about female vampires in England. And there's kind of again, a proto-feminist theme going with that one. But the one that's most interesting to me is actually The Coming of Sin, which deals specifically with the Roma, and it's all from the point of view of this young Roma girl, this young gypsy girl. And that also, it's interesting how he deals with female characters, especially in a genre context, in an exploitation context. All of her sexual repression and her fantasies. It's really it's much more it's much more mature than it's more mature filmmaking than I think what you would normally expect from this genre. So, Blood Hunger, the films of Jose Larraz, Larraz. Lots of really cool extras in here for all of these films. Interviews, and there's even an 80-page book here that talks all about Larraz's films, and it's really it's quite good. So it's a good box set from Arrow. Hats off to them. All right, so let's hope next week we have some kind of good news. We're getting close to a big moment in this Writers Guild agency, ATA, Association of Talent Agents negotiation. It's not even a negotiation, it's an ultimatum by this point. So for those who are following this, Hollywood is weeks away from potentially changing in the most significant way in 43 years.
And what's bizarre about it, it's a change back. To agents simply representing clients and getting paid for representing their clients. I mean, this is still? We talk about this quite a lot.
We've gotten so far from that. So the Writers Guild votes on the 25th, and then April 6th is D-Day for anybody who's following that. We are following it with interest. We'll see you guys next week.